Have joined us before. So we are going to be recording this presentation. So whatever information you want to jot down today, this presentation will live on YouTube as well as our membership portal. So don't worry, we are recording this presentation. So thank you so much for joining us today. What this webinar is about Google marketing for eye care patient acquisition. So if you're a practice that's looking for growth and you want to use the Google tools at your advantage, Nicole and I here today will give you a brief presentation, a 20-minute presentation on what tools are available to you through Google that you can use to grow your patient. So I am Robin Lawrenson. I am an account manager here for marketing for ECPs.
And I am Nicole Hoff, Director of Accounts and Strategies. I am lucky enough to work with Robin as part of my team and working with marketing for ECPs.
So basically what both Nicole and I do is we help practices grow. So we implement marketing strategies based on your individual goals. We work with a lot of practices. And so we find out what your goals are for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and we map out a marketing strategy to help you accomplish those goals. And so today we will be discussing some of our favorite strategies on Google to help specifically for patient acquisition. So a little bit about Google. Google, we know, is huge. It is the world's largest search engine with 4.3 billion users. And out of the 4.3 billion users, I mean, 92.24% of people in the world go on Google to do any kind of research, to search for services, to, seek for answers to their questions. Google is the world's largest search engine by far. But another important thing to note is that 91.5% of Google traffic stays on the first page. What does this mean to you? If you are a practice and you have your website and somebody is going in your area and searching for eye doctor near me and you're not showing up on that first page of Google, that means you're missing out big time. So because 91.5% of Google stays on that first page, if you're showing up on the second, third, fourth page, it's like you don't exist on Google. But there are other strategies that we can use to make sure that you're showing up on Google. So again, this is, if you're a practice, by showing up on Google organically on the first page, we mean that organic search result, those top websites that show up on the very first page. So what we're going to be discussing here today is if you're a brand new practice, or maybe there's quite a bit of competition in your area and you're not showing up organically on that first page of Google, Nicole and I will discuss the tools at your disposal. Some of them are paid tools that you can incorporate to get that patient acquisition. So the three things that we're going to be sharing with you here today is about own your Google business listing. What you might have heard of this is as Google My Business. That's another way to say it. Then we're going to talk about setting up Google display ads as well as Google search ads. Now, I know all these things sound very similar because they all have the word Google in them, but we are going to break them down for you so that you have a better understanding on how you can use these individual tools to your advantage.
Thanks, Robin. So jumping in, the first thing we'll get to is owning your Google business listing. So you'll hear us talk about your GMB, owning it. And the first thing that we really have to do is we have to set it up. So we have to start the listing or claim it. If you are a brand new practice, you'll need to request verification. And if you've been through a website build with us, you're probably very comfortable with this process. So when it comes to your GMB, really what we will reiterate is it is about keeping it fresh. This is where we are posting any promotions, updating hours. If you've changed for summer hours, this is where your patients may look, and before calling you, they may just show up. So this is where you really want to keep everything up to date. What we will say about patients and how they search now is they have an idea of who you are before they even walk in the door. Thanks to people want to know about you, they'll be looking in other areas. So posting photos of your practice, that allows us to feel comfortable when we walk in the door. We feel like we've been there before. Now, along with that, it's about collecting Google reviews. And this is a conversation that I tend to have with most of my practices. And I'll have some say to me, well, what about if I don't have all 5 stars or if I have negative reviews? And what we tend to say is it's about being authentic. So what it's about is really establishing your credibility, getting a sense of how you operate. So even if there is a negative review, it's really about how you respond to it. Are you showing that you're looking to make it right? Are you extending contact info. That is what people will see. So even for me, if I see a practice with a negative review, I'll take a look at how it was responded to. And it really gives me an indication of how I'll be treated as a patient there. And that's how people will be looking for you.
No, absolutely, Nicole. And to your point about collecting those Google reviews, they are so important for a couple of reasons. One, when we're talking about what users are looking for when it comes to hospitality, restaurants, and healthcare, 70% of people will actually go and look at reviews before they make a decision. So you need to be making sure that you're collecting those Google reviews. Secondly, people are a lot more motivated to leave a negative Google review when they've had a bad experience. They're going to be extremely motivated, but they're less likely to leave a positive Google review if they've had a good experience at your practice. So it's really important to buffer the negative Google reviews with a ton of positive ones so that when somebody's going to your site, they're not just seeing negative Google reviews in case somebody happened to have a bad day or maybe they had a bad experience. But if you have 10, 15, 20 positive Google reviews for every other odd negative one, now you're padding the Google reviews and still getting really high star rating. And third,
Very authentic.
yeah. And third, for SEO purposes, long term, you can have a really great website, great social media, great marketing. But if you're not claiming your Google My Business listing and you're not collecting Google reviews, it is going to hurt you in the long term because Google rewards Google reviews. It helps you rank organically. And when you're ranking organically, that means that you're showing up on that first page of Google. You're claiming that valuable piece of real estate that is going to happen. I mean, this is just one of the components, but it's a very important component. And it is something that we always encourage practices to please collect and be very diligent about. Okay, so number 2, we're going to talk about Google display ads. What are Google display ads? These are basically the commercials that we see on the internet. So if you're browsing your favorite website, whether maybe it's like the Weather Channel or a news website, these are the visual ads that pop up targeting you for specific services. I mean, you'll see them everywhere. You'll see them practically on every single website because the Google Display Network owns over 2 million websites. Okay, so these ads run on there all day long. The great thing about them is that this is a brand awareness play. So basically, if you are opening a brand new practice or you're offering a new service or you're running a promotion, this is a avenue for you to get that word out there to people that might have never heard of you. So you're targeting people outside of your current patient base. So basically, it's a way for you to tell your story, let them know what services you're offering, what promotions you're running. And the beautiful thing with Google display ads and with digital marketing is that you can get very specific. So for example, we can target specific zip codes. We can target age, gender, interests. So we are making sure that we're reaching the right audiences. So with traditional media, like for example, television, it's just running through a particular show. But with digital marketing, with specifically Google display ads, we can really get super specific as to who you really want to target and who you want to be serving those ads. Another thing to note is that now the average person sees anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 ads a day. Okay, so we are bombarded with ads. So the average person now needs to see your ad about your practice anywhere between 7 to 10 times before they start remembering your name and remembering what it is that you offer. So having that frequency of exposure is super important. So when it comes to the Google display ads, depending on the size of your community or your market, we might serve 20,000 ads, 100,000 ads. And while that might seem like a lot, when you think about it, it's 100,000 ads, 100,000 impressions, but it's about serving people many, many times so that throughout the time you become top of mind. So here, for example, is more or less what an ad would look like. So here we're looking an example for a dry eye campaign. So the specific client wanted to really tell their community, their market, that now they're offering these dry eye therapy services. So we're running a dry eye campaign. So basically how it works is we look at images that target a specific audience. We come up with a headline with descriptions and we tell people how you're going to solve their problems, or if you're carrying a new brand, so on and so forth. So when it comes to establishing the budget, honestly, we'll get a little bit more into that later on in the presentation, but of course, if you are in a super densely populated area, you're going to want a lot of impressions. And if you're in a less, densely populated area, you're still going to want a lot of impressions, but you're not going to need as many. What can you expect with these Google display ads? So it's not about immediate patient acquisition. We're going to get into that next, but it is about branding. It is about letting people know who you are, people that have never heard of you, people that might not know what services you offer, what promotions you're running. And so this is a branding play. So what we aim to achieve here is an increase in traffic to your website, but branded traffic or direct traffic. What we mean by this is now people are searching specifically for you. They're coming and searching for your eye care practice. They're not just going on Google searching for eye doctor near me. If your practice, my practice name is Robin Eye Care, they've seen my ads over and over and over again. And I talk on there about how I have the best dry eye therapy in all of Calgary. I want them to go to Robin Eye Care for dry eye. I want them to look for me specifically and not just go on Google and see what shows up. And so that is where branding becomes really important. And that's what the Google display ads will do for you.
Thank you, Robin. Now jumping over, because they are both equally important, they have their place, jumping over to Google paid search ads. So these are known in the while back when we started as what we call PPC, pay per click, Google ads, Google search ads. What they are is they are always the paid ads at the very top of Google. And they are the ones that even if you are ranking strong organically, those will always be the top ones, the paid ones at the top. So the only way you can get there is really by paying to play. So it's about renting versus owning your real estate on Google. So even with strong organic and, as part of our strategy, I think SEO is an incredibly important, getting that strong credibility at the top. We will find practices that still supplement because we have different users that search paid versus organic. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a campaign using the right ads with the right keywords, combinations. So if we're focused on dry eye, our strategy is going to be very, very different than eye exams. And what I can say, speaking to working with our marketing science, so the people behind the scenes actually building the campaign in it every day, is going through it. What I think might be one keyword, I can go through 6 or 7 spreadsheets of different combinations of search volume and how it works. So on this, you are only paying when someone clicks. So Robin, do you have people ask you all the time about, do people use it or do people pay?
Absolutely. It's a very common thing when you're talking about pay-per-click ads. It's like, oh, but I don't like ads. I don't trust them. I don't click them. I don't click on them. But that's why Google is pay-per-click. You're not paying unless people are clicking on the ad. And when you have a well-written ad and you have a beautiful website, people will convert. We've seen this strategy work many times. And so we do recommend it when you're looking for immediate patient acquisition.
Yeah, the reassuring part about it is that you are only paying when someone clicks. So if you are worried about someone not clicking, don't worry, we're not paying for it. So really the trick, what I will say with paid search is that it has changed. I have been in this for over a decade, and how we used to build campaigns using best practices is very, very different than how it is now. Things can be changing so regularly. So it is really, when we say optimize, 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 it is not a set it and forget it. We are working with the marketing scientists on bid strategies and really aligning with our marketing strategy of what we are looking to grow. So sometimes we'll say that dry eye therapy is where we want to land, but we know that by starting with comprehensive care of things like eye exams, we can lead us there. So for example, things like designer frames can be incredibly expensive due to online competition. We could have a cost of conversion of over $100, whereas we could bring it down significantly through comprehensive care. So what we'll say is that data is not the full story in this one. We want to be taking a look at what our marketing goals are, aligning with the practice, taking data, putting the two, and then through that, really listening to the calls that come in. So that is different than data when we're listening to patients actually calling from an ad and what is happening there. So we'll say, how are your staff managing? Do we have holes in the schedule that we can accommodate? People that search on paid when they're clicking at the top are incredibly high intent. meaning they are not looking to book a month from now. They're typically looking to book within a day, within a couple days. But with that high intent, usually comes a really high conversion. So we want to ensure that when someone calls, they're able to get in right away. Perhaps they're leaving their job and they want to go through their spending account or benefits or insurance. So we are really looking to align your operation with the call tracking, ensuring those are working together.
No, that's very true, Nicole, about call tracking. It is so important. I'm so glad we do it. I actually have a story to share about this, about the calls versus operational alignment. So we were doing pay-per-click ads for a client, and on my end, when I was looking at the data, I saw calls were coming in, but she messaged me about 2 weeks in and she's like, I don't understand what's happening. We haven't had a single booked appointment. We haven't had anybody come in. I immediately went in and did some call listening. And within 5 minutes, I realized what the issue was. And the problem was that the practice had been closed due to vacation. And so they had an answering machine saying, we are closed, that was activated, that when they reopened, the front office staff forgot to deactivate it. So every time somebody was calling at the first ring, they were being told that the practice was closed and to, if this was an emergency, to go to the local hospital. So these are things that marketing is to your point, we get the calls, we get the booked appointments, but once that phone rings, what your staff does when they answer that call, now it's like transferring the baton, right? And getting that through the finish line. So it's a marriage, definitely.
So with all of our clients, really what I think it comes down to is, I know, Robin, I'm sure it's the same for you. I really do lean into my monthly dashboard meeting to be really evaluating it. So what that means for me is before I am meeting with my client, I'm working with the marketing science team to really see, to kind of get granular on the campaign. They're in it all the time. They're catching all of the little things that will help me understand. So what needs to be adjusted? What's working well for us? Where do we need to adjust, move, pivot, and at some point change our marketing strategy? So if search volume is not there, perhaps we're having months where search volume is low, we may have to pivot, kind of expand geographics, expand different territories. So really it's coming down to working a granular level, and then of course, working with the practice, understanding how the practice is, are there any changes within that? So along with the paid search, over time, we can reduce how much we're doing on paid search. And I have clients still with strong SEO, and we still choose to do search because they're different types of users. But while we're waiting for this strategy, we are ensuring that we have top of mind presence, meaning new patients, new growth.
That's right. And so I always like to, these 3 strategies that we discussed today. So claiming your Google profile listing, having the paid search, Google display. So Google business profile, that is forever. Okay. So you're going to continue to collect these Google reviews, continue to post. That is a forever strategy because that is long-term. What that is going to do is that's going to help you rank organically throughout time. If you're not on the first page of Google already, by collecting all those Google reviews, it's going to help you move from page to page to page on Google. In addition, this is just one component of SEO, but it's a very important one. Paid search, to your point, Nicole, this is for high intent. These are people that are going on Google today saying, eye doctor near me, and they want to be serviced within a week or 2 weeks. Through call listening, when you are making them wait 3 to 4 weeks just to get an eye exam, they're a lot likely to go elsewhere. So you have to make sure you have room, you have holes or openings in your calendar to accommodate these very high user intent patients. And then display, we're targeting people of tomorrow. So we're basically serving a ton of ads in your community for people that don't know who you are, but might not necessarily be looking to get an eye exam today, or might not need frames today, but a month from now, 2 months from now, when they do, you're the person they're going to think of because you'll have seen your brand and your name everywhere. So what the goal is, what we do and how we determine these strategies is we meet with the individual practices and we determine what their specific goals are before we make any recommendations.
Perfect. So Robin, and I think it's the same thing for you. It's really about assessing the business. It's a collaborative, it's a partnership. So some of the things that we're looking at is assessing whether it's a growth target, whether you're hiring a new doctor. We're taking a look at, sometimes it's quarterly, annually, how we are planning. So I will assess in terms of your patient demographic of who are we servicing now? Who are we looking to servicing? Are they aging, moving? Are we looking to get their children? So it's a very different philosophy, areas that we're trying to grow. And speaking to that, it can be very, very different in different geographical areas in terms of revenue per patient. There's times that we may only need to get 5 or 6 new patients if we have a high revenue per patient. So what we're looking to invest to acquire a patient. Now, Robin, when I am dealing with a practice in terms of taking a new doctor or looking for growth strategies, one of the conversations I'm having regularly is really about marketing budget and how I calculate at that. That's a question that I have. And how are you answering that with your patients?
Yeah, absolutely. I get these kinds of questions all the time. What does the average practice spend on marketing? Well, really, it depends on your specific goals. It depends where you're located. If you're in downtown New York City versus a rural county out here in Alberta, it's going to be very different. But the average rule of thumb is how we calculate it is, let's say you want to grow your practice by 10%. So, sorry, you want to grow your practice by $500,000 a year. Let's say it's $500,000 a year. What we do is we take the $500,000, we multiply that times 10%. So that's going to give me $50,000 a year that we need to spend in marketing in order to grow your practice. So we divide $50,000 by 12 months. That gives me an average of $4,100 a month for a marketing budget that we use towards, depending, again, specifically on your goals. It can be towards pay-per-click ads, towards an SEO program, Google display ads, so on and so forth. So, and yeah, to your point, Nicole, depends again where they're located. If they have a lot of competition where they are, if it's densely populated, what services are they trying to market? If you are in an area in a smaller town where there's only 2 competitors and you're already showing up at the top of Google, then the strategy and the budget will be different.
Thanks, Robin.
So we've reached the 20-minute mark. I feel like I just blinked, okay? So, so what we have here for you is we're gonna have the free downloadable e-guide. So it's basically a summary of what we discussed here today. It'll have a little bit more in-depth information. So the Google, the link is right here and you'll be receiving it. And also on May 25th, we're gonna be having our next webinar on eye care trends. Now we're going to go into the question and answer. Nicole, did we get any questions?
We did. We have one, which is how often should you be posting on Google? So I'm thinking that that could be a question about GMV, which would be, Robin, I'll let you jump in here too, but really it's about keeping it updated is the first thing. So like we said,
I mean, even if once a month, even if you're posting on there once a month. So let's say you have a promotion that month and you want to post it, maybe you have some nice new photos of your practice, you want to post it. Once a month is a great start. I know some practices that post weekly. Sometimes they'll use their social media posts and they'll post it on there as well. So it's really up to how much time you have, but I would suggest at least once a month so it keeps your account pretty active.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is, when it comes to reviews, I think it's helpful to be asking your patients. So really the people that sit at the front, that deal with your patients, that check them in and out, they're really, really important. So asking your patients for reviews shows that you do care about their experience there. So that's also helping to keep it fresh. I think we have another question, Robin. Okay, we will get we had a question about the URL with the summary content, which we can post there at the end. Should I post the same materials across channels, Facebook, Instagram, and Google Business? So should they use the same content?
Yeah, absolutely. It keeps continuity. So if you're running a special promo that day, especially for example, for us, when we're managing our clients' campaigns, when we are doing like a summer campaign or a sunglasses, we make sure everything is on Google My Business, on Facebook, on Instagram, on your Google display ads. So there's continuity throughout all your channels. And so everybody's getting the exact same message no matter where they're seeing it.
There was another question, is Google a good way to get word out about an open house? Any best practices for asking for reviews? So we can probably speak to some some of the software that we might use for reviews. And if there's any questions, we can follow up with that after. But really, Robin, for an open house or a trunk show, I always think that, as part of my strategy, oftentimes I think display can work well if there's any promo extensions through Google. I always think Google. Do you use the same thing?
Yeah. So if you're doing a grand opening or a trunk show, it depends. So I will do Facebook ads. Facebook ads are fantastic for promoting an event. I will do Google display ads, and I will also do email marketing, because now let's say you've collected a couple thousand emails, you're letting patients know, people who have a relationship with you, people who trust you, that you're having this special event, and you're basically sending them out an invite. So I don't just run Facebook ads, which is towards brand new patients, but always marketing to your current patient base is super important, because these are people that have loyalty to you. So if you are having a grand opening, you expanded your practice, you're having a trunk show, send out an email and invite your patients to come to this event. They will show up for you.
It's about community.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we are caught up. So we've got a recording. I'm just going to go through. We've got the recording. We have a URL where they can go for their download on our portal, our brand new beautiful portal. We have a thank you. Will we have another session talking specifically about monthly analytic review? I would love to join. And let us chat with our founder about that, because I am sure she will be happy to post something about going through our dashboards. And yes, so for me, the monthly reviews are really important. I always think I'm always grateful. I always feel it's a privilege when the clients give me the time, because really it's that partnership that allows us to build a strategy. Those monthly check-ins are really important.
Exactly. And it allows us to, keep track of the temperature if marketing is working or not. And if something is not working the way that, we're hoping for with digital marketing, the great thing is we can immediately pivot. I mean, we can switch things up in a couple of days and then change strategies, which is great, because it's how we get real-time information. We get daily information on how your campaigns are working for you. So
yeah, I think it's a great idea. And we have our new portal with our new dashboard. So I think that is very, very timely to go through it. So I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right, everybody. Thank you so very much for your time. We are 6 minutes over time. Those were wonderful questions. Thank you so much for being so invested in participating. And we hope that you found this useful. Again, this will all be published on our YouTube channel, on our portal membership, and you'll be also receiving the e-guide. So thank you.
Thank you.